Text is everywhere. Emails, customer reviews, legal documents, social media posts, and more. But how do we extract meaningful insights from massive amounts of unstructured text data? That's where AWS Comprehend steps in. Welcome to this video where we will explore the power of AWS Comprehend, Amazon's fully managed natural language processing service. Whether it's language detection, entity recognition, sentiment analysis, or key phrase extraction, Comprehend can transform text into actionable intelligence. This video is not just a tutorial. Instead, I'll be showcasing AWS Comprehend's capabilities using Python code, giving you a hands-on look at what this powerful AI-driven tool can do. In this video, we'll walk you through the core features, visualize the results, and demonstrate how AWS Comprehend processes text efficiently. So there won't be any coding explanations, just the results that matter. So before we dive into the use cases, I want to mention that I'm using the code provided by AWS on their official website for working with the Python SDK, and I've also made some modification to that code to suit the purpose of this particular video. And I have already completed all the necessary setup steps to establish a connection between my code and AWS. So now I'll just run these cells and restart the server. Okay, so now the session is started and the client has also successfully been connected. So we are all set to see AWS Comprehend in action. Okay, so here we have, so this is the line of the code which connects us to the Comprehend client, okay, where we have just provided the name of the service that we want to use from AWS and the name of the region. Okay, post that we have also created an object of the Comprehend detect class. Okay, so this class has been defined in here, which is having multiple methods in there that we'll be showcasing to show what all Comprehend has to offer. So we'll start with the very first use case, which is detecting languages. Okay. So this use case comes in handy when you're working with textual data, which is also having multilingual aspects to it. So it could be customer reviews, emails, social media posts, or any other textual data that you deal with on a daily basis, where you need to categorize them by language before processing them further. So instead of manually identifying languages or relying on assumptions, AWS Comprehend can do it instantly. Let me show you how it works. So first of all, let's take a look at the text. So this is an excerpt from a news. Okay, we'll be using this to check out how the language is detected. Okay, so we'll be passing in this text to this method which we have called using the object of the Comprehend detect class. Okay, so now I'm passing this and I'm going to run the cell. You can see the result is that the language code has been provided as EN, which corresponds to English, and the score here is the confidence score with which the model has identified this text to be an English text. Okay, so basically we can say that the model is 99.56% sure that this text is in English. So cool, right? So let's just test it out on text from different languages. So as you can already see, I have collected a few samples of text from different languages. Now let's just test it out here. So the next language, let me show you first, is going to be Hindi. As you can see here, the text that we are going to pass now is going to be in Hindi. So I'll just again call in the method and I'll pass in the text. And as you can see, it's like 99.9% sure that the language is Hindi. HI is the language code for Hindi. Okay. These language codes are standard codes that corresponds to respective languages in there. So you can just Google it to get a list of language code and their corresponding languages. So let's move on to the next text. But let me just show you first. So the next text is in Spanish. Okay, text 3 is in Spanish, and we'll pass it to the model now. You can see that it has correctly identified it as a text belonging to the Espanol language, and it's like 99.7% sure that this is the predicted language. And you can see that there is no lag, like it's pretty instant, the results that we are getting in here, right? So we'll try another one. This one is in Arabic. And we have one more which is in French. So let's just test that out as well. So it has been correctly identified as French. You can see here it was in French, right? So this means whether you're dealing with a single piece of text or analyzing thousands of customer messages from around the world, Comprehend can quickly detect and categorize the language for you. Okay, so it's simple yet a powerful feature that Comprehend has to offer, and it does not just work on these languages. Like for the sake of this video, I've only taken out a few samples at random, but you can test it out with a lot many languages as well. And the performance is as fast as you can see in here. Like it's practically instant. So it's practically instantaneous. So now let's move on to something even more interesting, which is our next use case that Comprehend has to offer, which is extracting key entities from text. So basically it's entity recognition. So now that we have seen how AWS Comprehend can detect languages, we'll now see something even more insightful, which is entity recognition. So imagine you have a large collection of textual data, let's say documents, emails, or customer feedback, and you need to extract important information like names of people, organization, locations, or even dates. So instead of manually scanning through text, AWS Comprehend can automatically identify and categorize these entities for you. So let's take a look at how it works. So I have a simple text sample which we'll be using to start with this use case. Okay, so let's just take a look at the sentence. So this is a very simple sentence which we'll be using to understand the results of entity recognition. Okay, so now I'll be calling the detect entities method using the object of the class. Okay, and I'll be passing in this text along with its language code. Okay, so since this text is in English, the language code would be passed as EN, and I'll also store this result. Okay, we'll be using it later. So now I'll run this, and this is the result. Okay, so AWS Comprehend processes this and identifies Amazon Web Service as an organization. Okay, and the confidence score of identifying Amazon Web Services as an organization entity is 99.45%. Okay, similar way we have the date. In this sentence, only the year part of the date has been mentioned, so only this has been identified as the date. And then we have Seattle, which have been identified as a location, and we can see that all of it have been identified with very high confidence scores. Okay, other than that, we have the beginning offset and the end offset available as well. These are nothing but the starting and the end point of these entities in the sentence. Okay, so let's just check it out. So for example, starting from the 0th index, okay, going up to the 19th index, we'll have Amazon Web Services into this sentence. Okay. Similarly, let's try out another one. We have the beginning offset of 64. So starting from the 64th position or the index in this particular string and ending at 71, we have Seattle, right, which has been identified as a location. So this is what the beginning and the end offset means, and this is the result that has been provided to us by Comprehend. Okay, so you can see that this is a list of dictionaries, and now we'll visualize this result in a slightly different manner. Okay, so now what I'll be doing is I'll call in the highlight entities method, which I've defined in there myself. Okay, and I'll be passing in the text and the result. You can see here that Amazon Web Services has been like highlighted as green in here. The date has been highlighted as purple, and the location has been highlighted as dark blue. Okay, so basically these have been identified as entities into the given sentence. All right, so let's just try it out with another text which is in Hindi. Okay, so right now we'll try it out with Hindi. So again, I'll be passing the text to the detect entities function. Okay, so this would be text2 and the language code would be Hindi. I'll be storing the result, and as you can see here in this particular text, all of these things have been identified. Okay, so their score, their beginning and end offset have also been provided in here, and it still remains as a list of dictionaries, and we'll also take a look at it in this manner. Okay, so I'll be calling this, then I'll be passing in the text that I used along with the result. Okay, so here you can see all of these things are colored. Now the color scheme has already been defined by me in the highlight entities to a method. Okay, so the organization, whenever it is recognized in a particular text, would be highlighted as green, and the date would be highlighted as dark purple or violet basically, and the location would be highlighted as Seattle. If there is something that has been identified which is not falling into the major standard category, that would be colored as this. Okay, so basically we have EIA and this has the type as other. Okay, so wherever in the text the entity would be categorized as other, it would be colored in this way. Okay, so this is just a mapping. So in Amazon Comprehend's entity detection, we have a set of standard entities that it looks for in the text, which are as follows. As you can see in this table, we have commercial items, which identifies if a branded product has been mentioned in the text or not, date, location, organization, event. Then we have this other category, okay, which doesn't fit into any other categories. And then we have person, quantity, and title. Title is basically an official name given to any creation or creative work such as movies, books, songs, etc. Right? So these are the type of entities for which Comprehend would be looking into the text. Okay, so here let's just check it out with another text sample, right? Just to see that how well it works with text from different languages. Okay, so we'll now pass the Arabic one, which was text 4. Okay, so these are the results, and now I'll just highlight it into the text itself. Okay, So here are the results. You can see most of it have been identified as other and the rest is just quantity. So I think there is just one instance here and one here that has been identified as a quantity. So it differs from text to text obviously. So in here all it could identify was the other and the quantity type of entities. And let's just try it out with another one, the English one, but a different use case. I mean the news excerpt that we tried out earlier, we'll try it with that. Okay, so here also you can see that Mexico, the name of a country, has been identified as an organization. Then we have a person as well, where the name of the president and also their designation has also been identified as person. And then we have the dates and so on, the quantity here as well. So let's just try to highlight that too. So here you can see that from this news excerpt, it is identifying all these entities. So this kind of automation is incredibly useful in scenarios like contract analysis, news aggregation, or customer support, where you need to quickly extract key details from large volumes of text, where you deal with a large volume of text on a daily basis. Okay, and the job is very repetitive. So in those scenarios, these kind of solutions come in where you can just automate these kind of stuff and save a lot of time. All right. So currently in this example, I've only taken smaller text in here just to put the point across, like how it works and what do we need to look for into the text and all that. But there is no limitation to the length of the text that you can pass to these functions. Okay, so it's pretty powerful, right? Now let's step it up a notch and talk about identifying personally identifiable information, which we'll be calling as detecting PII in short. Okay. So far we have seen AWS Comprehend detect languages and extract key entities from text, right? Now let's talk about security, specifically how AWS Comprehend can help protect sensitive information through personally identifiable information detection. Okay, so in short, PII detection. So PII includes details like names, phone numbers, email addresses, and even credit card numbers. So in industries like healthcare, finance, and customer services, safeguarding this data is critical. So let's see how AWS Comprehend can automatically detect PII from text. So for this case, I'll be working with this example of text. Okay, let me just print it out. So this is the text, and now we'll be passing it to the detect PII method. Okay, this again also asks for the language code because it can also be used multilingually. All right, so it becomes necessary to at least specify the language code, or maybe what we can do is we can first detect the language code and then pass the result in here. So that's also an option. All right, so here when we run it through AWS Comprehend's detect PII entities API, it identifies and classifies the sensitive information. So here we have the name starting from the index 15th, which is going up to the index 28. But as you can see here, it is not mentioning the exact text. Okay, it's just letting you know that in this sentence, name of a person has been mentioned starting from so and so offsets. Okay, similarly, it has also recognized that there is a phone number that has been mentioned in here as well, which again, as you can see in here, it's not mentioning the exact text. So this is the difference between the detect entities and the detect PII service provided by Comprehend. Okay, so when you're dealing with somebody's personal information and you want to take care about the security aspect of things as well, so this is the option that you can go for instead of detecting entities, because when you are detecting the entities, it gives you the text itself as well along with the type. But then again, let's say from this text you still want to look at the name which have been mentioned in here. Now currently this particular sentence is really small, so we are able to make it out in here. But think of the cases where somebody is dealing with some legal document. Okay, so it could be some non-disclosure form or some policy documents that needs to be reviewed by somebody manually. So this is also something that can be used to identify all these things in there. Okay, and basically it can be identified in any kind of textual data where we are dealing with somebody's personal details. All right, so I'll here just show you these offsets here. So it says that starting from the 15th index up to the 28th index, there is a name which is Sarah Johnson, but it's not explicitly mentioning it in there. All right, and the same is the case with the phone number as well. You can just see it in here. Let me just try it out. So let me just pass in the offsets for that too. You can see it has accurately identified that from this point to that point is where there is a phone number mentioned in the document. All right, so this can be used to redact the information as well. All right, so basically maybe how we can find a use for this kind of functionality is we pass in a document, it identifies the personally identifiable information in there, and we can just swap it or just delete it entirely from the document or the comments or reviews anywhere, just to keep the personal identity of a person safe. So this is the use case of detecting PII, and this is incredibly useful for compliance with privacy regulations like GDPR and HIPAA, ensuring that businesses handle sensitive data responsibly. So with PII detection, we can build more secure applications that protect user data effortlessly. And that wraps up part 1 of our exploration of AWS Comprehend using Python. We have seen how it can detect languages, extract entities, and identify personally identifiable information. These are powerful capabilities that can be seamlessly integrated into real-world workflows. So, if you are looking to use these features in your own projects or business processes, Codersarts can help you get them integrated smoothly. So feel free to reach out and let's make AI work for you. You can contact us via our email ID, which is contact@codersarts.com, or you can visit us on our website, which is www.codersarts.com. And you can also find our social media handles in the description box down below. But there's more. In part 2, we'll check out what else AWS Comprehend has to offer, so stay tuned and don't miss it.